saw you could do a green screen, but I don't know how to fix this. You could literally put a pretty background. Nice. This video actually isn't about that. I might delete this later, I might not. Or I might just do it as a short. I just like this, the flavor of this gum. I really wish they made this as like a sucking candy. In addition to a gum. Because my teeth get really sore and it hurts. They hurt. But this video is not about gum and sucking candies and gum and hurting teeth. So, I wasn't going to do this, but I decided to do it. Spur of the moment. Daniel thinks, or thought it was a good idea for me to come on here. Sorry, I have an itch. To come on here and, excuse me, and share my personal perspective on this matter, which happens to be current news or current events in the pop social media, whatever, pop culture. We're going to be talking about a fellow New Jerseyan, the Miss Fabulous Wendy Williams. I love Wendy. I was on her show once when it was COVID, when we were home with the lockdown. I was in her virtual audience. I don't know if I'm allowed to share that, but it's for your, what is it? I saw her on 4 years later, something like that, 4 or 5 years later. I was in her virtual audience when we were living in our last apartment. It was so much fun. Wendy is awesome. I love Wendy. And I miss Wendy very much. So I wanted to come here and share my perspective. Oh, hey! About the lovely Miss Wendy Williams. My perspective is actually very different from a lot of people's perspectives, which is why I wanted to come on here to talk about my perspective, because this is my channel. So, Wendy Williams' situation reminds me of my mother's situation, and if you know me, my mom's no longer with us. She died September 30th, 2020, from cirrhosis of the liver, which was caused by most likely to her alcoholism, sadly and painfully. And I know Wendy Williams has, my mom had dementia, a form of dementia, which was from her alcoholism and cirrhosis of the liver and whatever else was going on. And Wendy Williams is also an alcoholic. Oh, thank you. And she has alcohol-induced dementia and other medical conditions, and I'm really sad about that because I love Wendy Williams. I don't know her personally, but I think she's fabulous, and she's also from New Jersey, which makes her even more fabulous because I'm from New Jersey too. And but on a serious note, my perspective, which I believe is very different from many people, is that I know from my personal experience with my mother, who's no longer with us, that it's necessary for some people, when you can't be there for your parent or your loved one, whoever, to watch them and live with them and watch them 24 hours a day, which they need. Sometimes the best option is to put them in an assisted living facility or a rehab or whatever it may be, in hopes that or hire somebody to watch after them that hopefully you could trust to treat them properly and give them the TLC and the monitoring and the care that they need. Unfortunately, it wasn't always like that for my mom. And she was in and out of rehabs and assisted living facilities and hospitals and whatever, on and off between being home and stuff. Being home alone was not good. And, excuse me, I'm trying to remember. Being home was not good. Even when people were living with her. Like my uncle's friend was staying with my mom for a little bit. And that wasn't 100% good either. And at one of the places my mom stayed at, one of the rehabs or something, long-term care places, she broke her hip because she fell out of her chair because she wasn't being monitored as closely as she needed to. My mom also escaped from this place that she was staying at for a bit. Fortunately, by the grace of God, she wasn't hurt. They wound up picking her up at the local Wawa, which was like pretty much across the street from the place she was staying at that time. And I think the cops picked her up and then brought her back to her home, which wasn't that far from like her actual house, which wasn't that far from that place anyway. And my mom wound up dying a little bit of time after that, when she was home, and being home was not good. And this is why I think it's not good for Wendy Williams to be free, because when you're an alcoholic, and to that extent, when you're an alcoholic or have a really hardcore addiction to drugs, and you have no control of that addiction. I know from like personal experience and stuff that when you can't control yourself and you're free to do whatever you want, and you don't have somebody watching over you and telling you no, or keeping control of you, and it's for your own best interest and for your own good, you can spiral and it'll just kill you. That's pretty much what happened to my mother. And I don't agree that Wendy Williams should not be in a place like wherever she is right now is probably good for her. So I don't believe that it would be in Wendy's best interest to be free from her conservatorship, because in Wendy Williams's case, having a conservatorship is good, because conservatorships for many people is for when these people can't be left to be in control of their own money and stuff because they have a problem, whether it's dementia, a serious addiction problem, or mental whatever instability and stuff. Like, they just can't do it. They're not well enough to be on their own. So I don't agree that Wendy Williams should not have a conservatorship. I think it's in her best interest, and I think that whatever they're doing for her right now doesn't seem to be that bad. And unless you've actually lived it, whether you personally have been in her shoes, or you've had a parent or a sibling or somebody close to you living in that form of capacity, you may or may not, understand it. And my mom also felt like she was incapacitated and like she was a prisoner. And in some places where she wasn't with the right environment, like in the right environment, because they put her like in one place because she was like difficult with the staff. They put her in like the vegetable part of the facility, if you will, not to be mean or offensive. They put her in the area with the people that weren't even talking. They were not verbal at all. And she wasn't in the area where she was living to her best potential, because my mom wasn't stupid. She was one of the smartest people you'll ever meet or would have met. Smartest person I ever know, like book smart and stuff. And I'm like, so when Wendy Williams says she feels like she's in a prisoner, she might feel like she's a prisoner, but she's in like a facility where she probably can do whatever she wants within reason and hang out in her little area. But it may not be the best area, but it's good that she has people probably monitoring her. And her conservator will give her, like, she said when she wants to go to Sephora, her conservator will arrange it for her to go to Sephora, and they'll give her like an allowance or something to buy whatever. It may not be every day, but it's something. So like, which is better than my mom was able to do. But like, and when you have a really heavy addiction, sometimes you need somebody to monitor you. So I don't think Wendy Williams should be out and not monitored and like completely free. When my mom died, I'm pretty sure she was drinking at the time. She was back living alone, and she discovered that you could have wine delivered to your home. So she had wine delivered to her home. She became worse and worse and worse. Eventually, she got her head caught in the railing of her bed frame, backboard thing. And I don't even know how, I don't even remember, because I was the last person to see my mom before this actually took place. I went there to bring her something to eat, I think, to visit her. And then I left. And then within a few hours, she got her head caught in the bed frame, the railing. And then somehow she wound up in the hospital. I don't know who was there. I don't know. I wasn't there. She wound up in the hospital and was on life support. She wasn't coming back. And then, sorry, my ear itches, I'm not lying. And I refused to take her off life support because even though I know my mom said if she was ever on life support, pull the plug. Because I was just so hopeful that she can come back. And also because I didn't want to lose her. For good. Even though, like, she wasn't the same as she was. Like, and for a little while she was doing better, but I don't know. I wasn't ready to lose her. And I fought with my family about pulling the plug. And eventually, within, I don't know, a couple days or days, I conceded and I let them do it. And then I was the last person to see her before she passed away, family-wise, in the hospital. It was so freaking painful. And I'm picturing her now, and it's still really painful, of course. And, yeah, and she died later that night. But, yeah, but, like, so when it comes to Wendy Williams, I think it's in her best interest. We can't always be there for our loved ones when they need us like that. And part of me wishes I could have been, but I couldn't. I couldn't afford to. And although I wish I had more time with my mom, for sure, then and now, because I won't have it. And I think it would be better that way for Wendy, because her son can't be there for her. And unless you understand what it's like, and you really know, when you're in a place like that, it feels like a prison, but it's for your own good. So that's what I think. And thank you for those who stopped by to watch. Maybe I won't delete it, maybe I will. But thank you so much for stopping by, and for those who like this. I know that was really heavy. If you agree or disagree, leave a comment. If you like this, like it. But yeah, it's been really hard not having my mom. But imagine if Wendy if they let Wendy go home and she spirals out of control because she's drinking and that heavily, because I know she did. We all know. Wendy knows. And it's really bad. And it's hard. I know personally how hard it is. But I've been there where, like, I was out of control for a bit, coping with my mom. And I had to stop cold. And that's how I lost weight. And I know if I drink every single day, even if it's a glass or two, that's when I start putting my weight on again. And I had to stop again. And now, like, it's so hard because I want to. And sometimes it's like, oh, I'm so stressed out with work or whatever. But I have to remind myself that to motivate myself, because the reward is looking good in my wedding dress, feeling good. I don't like having like extra fat on my body. Like, I don't want to be anorexic, but I know I put on a bit of weight. I don't want to look at the scale. So, like, I know what it's like to have a problem. And mine's kind of vain. And it's also health related. And I know it's because I take after my mother. Addiction runs in the family, and I don't want to end up like her. But I know for a while, like, I was almost 200 pounds while coping with my mom, because I have the same problem as her, and addiction runs in our family. And I know Wendy Williams has a problem where if you let her go back home and be on her own, she'll do the same thing. God forbid she has alcohol poisoning or hurts herself by accident or hurts someone else by accident. It could happen. And people don't understand how serious it is. And they should. And they don't. Not everybody understands. And they don't get it. And Daniel thought it was important for me, my fiance, to share my story about that, to get a perspective from somebody who actually knows what it's like and the reality and the tragedy that can result of that. So I don't think Wendy Williams should be free. Unless she goes back to living at home. But I still feel like she should have a conservator or somebody like monitoring her. Because I remember when they did the documentary with Lifetime, her one assistant let her drink and didn't think it was a big deal. But when you're an alcoholic and you can't control yourself, it is a big deal, because that can kill you. Again, I'm gonna go. If you agree, or disagree, leave your comments below. Give this a thumb up if you like it. Subscribe to my channel. Alana by the Shore, and I'll see you later. Bye. Oh, thank you.